Have you ever watched a YouTube video or followed a product recommendation and didn't have the results that you thought that you would have? Well, I'm going to talk about the 10 factors that could be contributing to the fact that you're not getting the results that you hoped for. One product that works for me may not work for you and vice versa, but this is really a lot of trial and error when it comes to hair products. I'm going to go over these different factors that can affect the results that you have when it comes to your hair. And make sure you guys remember that you can leave comments in the comment box so that I can answer for you. So let's go over the first one. And what I didn't include completely in this particular section is the fact that there are some of you here who are Silver Sisters, but you're relaxed. So if your hair is relaxed, that also can affect what products that you use. Not everything, but you may find that what someone who has natural hair uses may be you may have different needs because of the fact that your hair is relaxed. So your curl pattern could affect the result of a product. If you have a tighter curl pattern, maybe using a gel might give you more shrinkage than if you use a cream. So those are some things to consider. Your gray hair pattern. If you have more white than you do salt and pepper, that can affect it. I noticed for myself personally that my white hair is a bit more frizzy. It can get more frizzy than the salt and pepper hair, but the salt and pepper hair, from what I've heard from other people also, those little salt strands can be very wiry and want to go their own way. They want to go this way while your melanated hair wants to go the other way. So keep that in mind when it comes to hairstyles and when it comes to products. Your salt may not always want to play by the rules. And as I said, the hair that has the less amount of melanin may have the more amount of frizz. The next is our hair porosity. The porosity of your hair can make a difference with what products that you use, how you put them in there, how long you keep it on. So this is something else that you want to keep in mind. And let me know in the comments if you guys know about hair porosity. This is something that I learned from watching YouTube videos. I didn't pay attention to it as much when I first went on YouTube and I learned about natural hair. I focused on the curl type pattern. I also meant to mention from the last slide, you can have more than one curl pattern in your hair. You can have a certain section that's looser than another section. So sometimes even that will affect your results. You may look at somebody who has a tighter curl pattern or a looser curl pattern. Please know that if that's the case, you may have a different result. Higher porosity, it's easy for that moisture for our hair to get in. The cuticles are raised. So we don't have to worry so much about when you deep condition, you may not need to use heat because of the fact that your cuticles are more likely to be opened. Not only those of us who have gray hair deal with this issue, there are those too. When I saw a video from Green Beauty that explained that even when you color your hair or even when your hair is relaxed, whenever there's a chemical process that happens that changes the cuticle, you may have more raised cuticles than the next person. Lower porosity, you're able to maintain that moisture, but it's hard for that moisture to come in. So some of you have asked me before about something called I think it's the Lola treatment or something like that. It's basically certain products that you put in your hair to help lift those cuticles, to help the moisture to come in. So again, those are things that you have to consider when you're looking at a certain video, you're looking at how someone does something. If you have high porosity hair and you do a treatment that's made for someone with low porosity, you're going to have very different results, or it may put your hair at a disadvantage. So that's something to keep in mind. Density. This is something that I am seeing is a really big issue. When I first went on YouTube, I would look at a beautiful YouTuber and be like, oh my gosh, her hair looks so luscious and I'm going to try this. And then I tried with my hair And I'm like, it doesn't look like that. And I start to feel bad. But something I didn't consider was, wait a minute, my hair density is different than hers. I told you guys with my sister, you've seen her, just one of her puffs or little pineapples, like, could look like what all of my hair is. So you have to keep that in mind when it comes to hairstyles, that it could look different based on the density of your hair. Also, what your hair prefers. Maybe if your hair is finer or you have lower density, you may want to stay away from heavier products, and you may want to try things like mousses or things like that. Whereas someone like my sister, she needs creams so that her hair feels the moisture. So that's something to keep in mind. And that leads me to the next thing, which is preference. I could tell you, oh, gel is the great thing for curl definition, and you may not like gel. It may not be because your porosity levels or your density, you just don't like gel, and that's fine. You can use mousse instead. And I want you guys to know that there's no need. Some of you, I feel like you need to tell me, oh, well, I can't use that, or that's okay. If I mention a gel and you're used to using an oil or a cream, and you find good results, what do they say? If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So you are allowed your preferences. You may prefer butters. You may prefer oils. I had a subscriber tell me that oils don't work for her hair, that it actually makes her scalp feel very sore. Now, I'm not sure what oil it is that she's using. Maybe it's a particular oil that's giving her that result. But that's fine. If I use oils on my hair, it doesn't absolutely mean that you have to. Another example, I like to use purple shampoo. There's some of you who don't use purple shampoo, and that's fine. So remember, your preferences are something to consider when you see people give product recommendations for that. Another thing is, you may not want all the store-bought stuff. Maybe you're a DIYer. You want to cook up stuff in your kitchen and put things together. You want very minimal ingredients. That's fine too. Or you don't want, I saw somebody comment on one of my videos. They were like, that's just too many steps. And that's fine if you don't want to do, all of those different steps. You don't have to. Hair sensitivities. Each of our hair is different. Somebody's hair could love coconut oil. Another person's hair does not love coconut oil. Some people's hair tolerates heat better than other hair. Also, protective styles. Those are some things that I mentioned to people that they can try if they are transitioning with their gray hair. But maybe some people have told me their work environment doesn't allow for things like this, or maybe they don't want their edges to have any traction alopecia, so they don't want to use braids. So it's okay. Those are things to keep in mind when you're hearing somebody recommend something for you. How you style your hair. I'm a wash and go girl. Right now I actually have 4 twists underneath here, but wash and goes are my go-to style. And you might be a twist out girl or a flexi rod girl, or like I said, you may have relaxed hair. Those are things to consider when it comes to products too. There are some people I know who do wear wash and goes, who do wear their hair out, and they don't wear any gel. They could just wear conditioner and it gives them a good definition, but maybe they have a looser curl pattern than I do, So again, guys, this is not one size fits all. This is another reason why I love these lives, because you guys give me your product recommendations too, and you put that out there for those, so that this is the beauty of YouTube. You come on here because you're looking for something. You're looking for ideas. A lot of times there may be a lot of products that you guys see, and there may be my go-tos that I have, and then the others, if there's a special occasion, I'm using those. But definitely another thing to consider when you're looking at style results too is how long someone's hair is. Sometimes someone will look at my hair and want a similar look, but their hair is shorter than mine, or their hair is longer, and that can affect it. I will tell you, from the time I big chopped to transition to my gray until now, I'm noticing that my hair does behave differently now that it's longer than when it was shorter. And that's something that you have to consider on this journey. Gray hair or natural hair, your hair is going to change. And we're going to talk about some other things that can affect that change, but you have to be adaptable to it. I think I just got to make sure I remember to mention that in the next one. Let me just go to the comments real quick to see if there's anything that I can answer for you guys. Hello to everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Okay. Priscilla, you say you have a dual hair type issue. The top of your head is more straight and the sides and back are kinky. So that's another example of how you may need different products for different parts of your hair. And some people feel like, I don't feel like dealing with that, but it is what it is. That may even affect certain styles that you do. Like if you do certain styles that stretch your hair, that might make the straighter part of your hair straighter while it stretches out the kinkier part. So you have to deal with each special piece accordingly. Jay, you asked about protein treatments. This is another example. Green Beauty mentions on her label for her protein treatment that I have used that it's good to do it more often than those with low porosity. Whereas I feel for my hair, I do it maybe like twice a month instead of 4 times a month. So again, Jay, what you might have to do, and guys, remember this, we might have to experiment. So try it a certain amount of time, see how your hair and scalp responds, and that could let you know how much. There could be always a fast rule, but I think that it depends on how your hair responds. Okay, my sister's on here. Hi, love. Christy, I did send you a link to a list of the products that my mom uses, www.naturallygraceful.com/gray hair products. So if you could check that out. Okay, good. And Christy, what you're saying too reminds me of the fact that I'm glad I had my mom and my sister. And, my mom uses different products than even I use. My mom doesn't, and Ashley, remind me, my mom doesn't primarily wear wash and goes, does she? I think she does twist outs more. She does a lot of different styles than what I do with my hair. My mom's hair is longer than mine and it is thicker than mine. It has a different density. So those are things to keep in mind. Product use. And this is something that we kind of learned from the last video or last live that we did, talking about layering of products, how that can make a difference. I still have yet to try that on Jackie's Ice Curl. I think it was called Ice Curls Gel, but with a different layering. So are you heavy-handed? Because some people had talked about flaking before. Sometimes it's not about being heavy-handed. You could put a light amount and it still flakes. But sometimes putting an oil before it helps. But then again, to let you guys know, putting oil before gel is how my hair likes it. You can experiment and see if your hair likes oil after the gel. So definitely keep that in mind, that the order of the products can affect the results that you get too. And as I mentioned here, be willing to try more than once. Don't necessarily say, I don't like this product. I tried it once. Maybe when you try it again, it might be different. Say you try a shampoo that is not a clarifying shampoo, but you had a whole lot of buildup, used a whole lot of butters. You may not be able to properly tell if that product is really good for you, since you used it on hair that probably needed a clarifying shampoo than the one that you use. So that's something else to consider when you are using a product. And I remember too, from the last live, I showed you guys to see if products work well together. Maybe you're mixing a gel with a butter that they don't like each other, and that causes flaking, or that causes certain results from that. So my sister did confirm that, yeah, my mom is a twist out and flat twist girl. Yeah. So again, just letting you guys know that if I'm just sharing my experience, but if your hair doesn't do what mine's does, or you do something different, that's fine. Weather. is something else to consider. Do you live in a dry area? And this is something I didn't really think about. And my sister can actually chime in here because she went a couple of years ago to Florida, and she noticed that her hair behaved differently in a more humid environment. Ingredients like humectants that are in products draw the moisture from the atmosphere and put it into our hair. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's too much. So again, this kind of goes also into hair sensitivities. Things like glycerin, which is a humectant. Where you live, you might need to do a very different hair routine if you live in Arizona than if you live in Florida. So you could be watching me from that area and look at me and be like, oh, I want to try what she does. And it doesn't give you the same results. And that could be why. That's something to consider. Then we have health. And this is why I definitely, when you guys ask me certain things about yourself, I am looking to do more of a one-on-one consult, because there are so many things. There's just the general video one can do to show you, okay, I do this, do that. But there are other things like vitamin deficiencies, medications that you may take, your hormones, your diet, that can affect how your hair behaves, as opposed to myself. If you're in your 50s and I'm about to be in my 40s, I'm 39. That might also affect how your hair goes. So these aren't things to discourage you guys. It's kind of to help you to be encouraged and to take with a grain of salt everything that you see. I definitely don't want to come on here and act like I have all the answers, because I don't. When it comes to hair, I just do the best to show you my experience, the things that I've tried, in hopes that if you're looking for recommendations or things to try, I'm here to help. But if you're going through hormone therapy, if you have autoimmune issues with your hormones, if you're drinking enough water, that might be why your hair is so dry. Or that can even affect yellowing, which I did not know. If you're taking certain medications, it might affect yellowing. I'm going to do another video on that too, about why we yellow, our gray hair yellows. But those are things to take into consideration. If you're taking medication for your health, you certainly wouldn't want to stop taking it. But maybe that's something to consider with why. My sister also can attest to this. She suffers from MS and she gets treatments for that. And she had noticed some changes in her hair based on the medications that she took. It wasn't necessarily anything different with her products, but it just wasn't, working right. So that could be something that you could look at to see why you're not getting certain results, or why your hair is behaving the way that it is. All right, guys, this is the last one. Age. Everything, guys, everything changes as we age. And that doesn't just apply to us at this point. It also, my son's hair, he was almost bald when he was little. And then now his hair is much different. I was just talking to my husband about this today. He has certain parts of his hair that are really tight curls, then looser curls. So everything changes as we age. So you want to have realistic expectations and know that your hair is not going to be the same as it was when it was 20. Or maybe you're going through a stressful time. Maybe you just got over, maybe you beat cancer and you just got over certain treatments. Those are different things to consider with the way that your hair is behaving presently. And even us who don't have medications or health issues, if you were coloring your hair for so long before and then you just stop dyeing your hair, you have to give your hair time to learn a new way of behaving. Free from the color. Similar if you went from relaxed to natural. And my sister and I can attest to this too. Your hair, I did the big chop. So, I just thought automatically, okay, curl. Now I have pieces in the back that did, but other areas still had like very small pieces of relaxed hair. And so you have to keep that in mind. Oops. Sometimes I'll be seeing this mic go on red and I want to make sure I'm not blowing out you guys' ears. But that's something too to consider, that you need to give your hair some time to learn the new rules, And at the end of the day, guys, self-acceptance. We can't necessarily, there's some things that we might find that we can do to help our hair be a little bit thicker, to look to have the illusion of more volume, my hair is never going to look the way my sister's does or my mom's does. And that's okay. Learning to accept how unique that my hair is. And I'm also going to do a video for our fine haired women, things that are actually advantages of having thinner hair, finer hair. So learning to have acceptance when it comes to those things. So this is my message, that besides helping you to practically with how-tos and product recommendations, my ultimate goal is for you to embrace the hair that you have, whatever curl pattern it is, whatever gray hair pattern it is, the density. I want you to know that your beauty is not defined by the characteristics of your hair. I want you to feel loved no matter what kind of hair that you have. So that is the message always. Because another thing that hurts me sometimes is when someone's like, oh, I love your hair, I wish my hair was like yours. And if my hair was like yours, then I would love it. And sometimes we don't always have that option, you know. So it's all about loving the skin we're in a figurative way. So for those of you who do want to know, maybe this is your first time finding my channel today and you want to know the products that I use for my hair, I'm going to put the link in the description of all my favorite products, from shampoos to stylers, that you can check out. And if you guys have any questions, let me move this out the way. Have any questions or video requests for me, you can email me at nina@naturallygraceful.com. You could also check out my website for more content. And if you want, I have a blog post about this topic that I'm also going to put in the description. And in that blog post, I add in, I think it was six different factors of things that you can look for when choosing a product. Things like the slip, things like if it will stain or not. So please check out my blog post. I appreciate you all. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.